Hi, everyone. I'm Pip from Seymour Digital Media. You're listening to Know How Marketing Lab podcast. This podcast brings together different experts in marketing from our Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Each week we get on here and we talk about something search marketing like Google Ads or SEO, social media marketing from Facebook to TikTok, or website marketing. If you're a marketer or aspiring marketer, a business owner or entrepreneur, this podcast for you. We're going to share the best SEO, search, social, and website strategies. We share tips and hacks, Google Ads strategies, what's going on in the current market. Each week we discuss something exciting and awesome in marketing.
How is everyone doing? It is that time of the week again. It is time for Geek Speak. Of course, this one's going to be a bit more casual. This is the end of the year. If you're where we are in the lower mainland Vancouver Island, you're probably snowed in. And yeah, so today, unfortunately, Pip is out with the flu, so you're just stuck with the three of us. And of course, I'm going to introduce myself as my name's Phelan. I work at Seymour Digital Media. We're focused on search engine marketing.
And I am Rina from Little Works Indie Media, and we have a little agency over here.
And I'm Greg with Original 72 Creative, and we're a full-service website graphic design digital marketing firm, also in Vancouver.
Yeah. So how's everyone enjoying the snow?
I don't mind
I actually love it. I love it. I think it's, but I mean, I don't have to deal with it. I'm not the one shoveling. So I love it. It's pretty, and I love the sound quality of sound that snow makes, especially at night. It's very soothing, and I had forgotten what that sound was like. So,
It looks beautiful. I mean, I drove around a little bit yesterday to go do a couple things, and it's like gorgeous out if you like look at the, trees and nature and stuff. If you look ahead of you and on the sides of the roads, there's like chaos, but
yeah, which I'm going to say, we suggest that you do pay attention forwards, I
suppose.
Yeah, I just, have to say it, legally, we were advising you to look forward. Yeah, it's, over here, the biggest issue, it is beautiful. It looks great. The issue is, of course, drivers here lose their minds as soon as there's white stuff on the ground, and they just, I don't know what it is, but people are like lemmings. They immediately I need to crash into a tree right now.
I think it's because they feel like they need to make a concerted effort to get to work before they call in and say they can't go. So they go with their all seasons tires and they try and go down that massive hill that's on the way to the freeway, and then the next thing they know, they're boom.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you make an effort, then you can, stay home.
It's like you're sending a picture to your boss, hey boss, I tried, I crashed the truck real good.
I know. I can't believe that it's not okay to just say, hey, I've only got all season tires. Oops. I don't think it's good for me to attempt to come in. Or, get out there and get on the bus, even though the buses were having problems too. It just makes sense to phone in and not go if you can. But there are lots of people that actually have to be at work. I was listening to some people that are doing home care and things like that. We need to get those people to work for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm very much in the, there's a certain segment of people, as we've learned with everything that's happened in the last couple of years, that there's a certain segment of people that just need to physically be at their job. And, I want them to be safe and healthy. And I would also prefer that the city actually, plows the roads, that would also be beneficial.
We could use a little bit more budget in that department for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my folks are saying that most of Victoria still hasn't been plowed. And I'm not talking major streets, main roads there.
Yeah, they're complaining about that around here too. So how can you tell a Canadian from an American? Canadians are always talking about the weather.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do Americans not talk about the weather?
Not
as much.
So,
they just most of the. I'd say the place that has the most insane weather is probably Indiana, because they have every extreme. So they get tornadoes in the fall, they get blizzards in the winter, they get flooding in the spring, and then it's scorching hot in it's like I heard someone from there describe it as like it's the place that if you went there, you think that God forgotten you. It's just because like the weather's just
that's so sad.
well, it's just hell for weather. Like every extreme you're getting there, and they just solemnly like just take it and just so yeah.
Wow. Well, let's see if we can segue this back into our topic. How's that?
Yeah.
So we're here to talk.
Yeah.
Pardon?
We're not just talking about nothing today?
No, because that would be boring to watch. Okay, so I think that what we wanted to do is kind of talk about the things that stood out for us in 2022 and perhaps make some guesses as to what might be happening in 2023. So what were the highlights for you guys in 2022?
I had to do a deep dive into Performance Max and e-commerce for Google Ads. So that was a new thing that I didn't think I'd have to learn in 1 month, but I did. So that was,
right on. Yeah.
That stuck out quite a bit because it was we had a lot of stuff going on here at the house as well as having to learn all that stuff. So it was a little stressful. That stuck out for me.
For me on the website, I think like looking back, because over the course of the year, maybe year and a half now, it seems like it's been quite gradual. But when you look back, the advancement in being able to edit your site with the Gutenberg and block builders, there's been actually a ton of advancements in how flexible it is to compete with the page builders like Divi Builder, Elementor, Beaver Builder, stuff like that. I find in the past year to year and a half, it's taken a major jump to where you can seriously not build sites with Elementor and those things and pretty much have whatever you need to do your custom layouts for sites.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say, I was just going to say, building off that as well was also Shopify pretty much allows all page similar thing of like a page builder, but now it's on every page, and then you can save them as templates as well. So that was a big one for us, where it's like it almost opens up too many possibilities that you're just like of things you can do on pages, and it's every single page. So it's definitely a lot of the builders have gotten a lot better. I'm kind of curious. I should go look at if there was like an improvement in the drag and drop library, right? Because there's a library that since both of them use React to do a lot of their front end JavaScript, I'm just wondering if there was like
what's both of them? Do you mean Shopify and
WordPress?
The Shopify block builder.
Shopify and WordPress on their back end both use React, the JavaScript library, as their back end. In fact, fun anecdotal story is because Facebook created React, the WordPress.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's owned by all the major ones. There's only one independent, which is called Vue, VUE. That one's completely independent, and everyone else is it's built by a major organization.
Right.
And so React, they had this like weird thing, because it was Facebook, and so they had a weird thing in their terms of service that they like would own whatever you built with it. And Matt Molyneux, the guy that runs WordPress, said like, "Oh, I guess we're gonna have to move off of it," and instantly had Facebook change their terms of service to make it compliant with them, because they're just like, "Yeah, we're not losing out this one." Like, okay, what do you need? What do you need? And they like just changed it to make it like open, whatever the most open one that they could have. They changed it to that, some Creative Commons, and so it was showed the power of WordPress, that they could literally make the behemoth Facebook bend the knee by just saying like, I think we'll move away from this.
At least somebody can.
Yeah. I mean, well, at the end of the day, I think that's one of the other fun ones. It's just things that we've learned is like there is someone that can make a bunch of these giant companies like just someone can off in the corner can cough and they go, okay, actually, we're going to change our plans. We're going to do what they said. So what about for you, Rina?
Yeah, well, there haven't been like that many big changes, but I think the thing that I'm taking on my complete and utter fascination is the shifts in Twitter. So they had tried to launch a bunch of new features, and those features didn't really gain any traction. And then when Elon took over, like it's just been absolutely miss, and more miss. And now so many of the great people that I was on there to follow have moved off of Twitter or have had their accounts closed. I'm kind of wondering, am I there to the bitter end? When do I move off? And where am I going? Because that seems to be also, there's not one sort of congruent movement to a particular place. Everybody's taking up a variety of spaces. So they're going to Substack, and so it looks like Substack and that, what's the other one called with the M? What's it called?
Mastodon.
I forgot. Mastodon. And then the other one, a lot of people are going back to Tumblr for some reason. I don't know how Tumblr
I went
is
back to
good...
Tumblr, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, that's one.
I don't know if I went back or just because I know about Tumblr. I feel like I was probably on there, but then I signed up again. So I might have a second Tumblr out there.
Right. So, but it doesn't function at all like Twitter did. So this is what I'm trying to get at. Like, how do we get our immediately released news? So someone's saying that the journalists are going to post. That's good. That's probably where I want to be then, because what I look for in Twitter is that at the moment when things are on the ground, absolutely happening right then and there, not something that's going to show up in my feed 2 days later or 5 days later or whatever due to the algorithm. And I like to hear it before it gets to the news. Yeah, I don't like Mastodon either. I haven't even really figured out how it works yet. I looked at it once. It just I glossed over, and I'm going to go over that when I'm on holidays and figure that one out. But Post is a good place. I haven't actually used that one. I'm going to mark that down right now so that I don't forget. So has anyone else moved anywhere else off of Twitter? Because that makes me Post. I don't even know what Post is, and I can't seem to get... Glenna, can you tell me, can you drop a link in the chat and see what you're talking about? Because I can't really search for that.
Yeah, that's a pretty generalizable name, though. Make it definitely the SEO, and that's going to be pretty tough.
I know. I'm like, what am I thinking? I can't Google that. It's not going to come up with anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good, because I do like the journalists. That's what the journalists and politicians. Those are the two groups of people that I keep in touch with, if you can call it that, on Twitter. I keep up to date with. That's probably more accurate.
Yeah. So apparently, Elon is actually stepping down as the CEO. It got announced today.
He is? Yeah. Are you serious?
Announced this morning. There's a new girl who's...
Well, that one, it's not clear that it's not a joke, because there was a lady who said that she's now the new CEO, but people looked in and she's a comedy writer, so there's a strong chance that was a bit. And the problem is,
here's the thing: he did say that he was going to run all the decisions by poll, and then he doesn't poll. He only polls for 24 hours, so not very many people can even respond. And then the last poll that he did was whether or not he should step down, and that was a resounding 54% or something like that.
It was 60. It was well over a majority.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay, I thought it.
It was that's good. Firmly in the camp.
So I find that so strange, because all of the people that were doing the polls previously to reinstate people's accounts when they were banned for doing things against terms of services, they were all allowed back. So the same people that voted to get those people back were voting for him to step down. That doesn't make any sense. I can't quite follow the politics in that.
It's hard to say exactly. People could also just be, there's a certain amount of I think that he just kind of was too erratic, because even people that were supporting him were still in their own YouTube channels and stuff. They were not supporting him because he's being too inconclusive, and also that he went on banning all those journalists, and a bunch of people didn't like that were supporting him, because they actually were free speech absolutists. So
have they rolled back that decision to not allow promotion on other social platforms?
No, that has not been. I don't think that's been rolled back.
Well, it was specifically Mastodon. If you posted anything from Mastodon, you would get banned. Yeah, it was because that's where the journalists went over and kept posting about what was going on, and then they would link to their account, and so Elon banned the official Mastodon account, and then banned anyone who would post a link for Mastodon. So, Yeah.
Okay, because that's not in the terms of service. That was all of them. The interesting thing is here, 57.5% people voted for him to step down.
Mhm.
And it was 17.5 million votes, which I think is pretty interesting. But then I love how he actually claims that the bot traffic is there. Do you know what I'm saying? So when they vote against him, it's bot traffic. And when it's about reinstating people's accounts, it's like genuine user response.
Of course, yeah.
Well, yeah, you make it whatever you need to at the time, and
I
then
know.
yeah, it's one of those like, well, it was very good that this all happened for me, and isn't that wonderful? And no, I wasn't owned by when that happened the last time. So, well, the interesting part, again, going back to our earlier point of like there probably was a gentleman in the corner that gave him all the money that was like coughed softly and said, I think you're going to be stepping down now, because
Really?
well, yeah, I mean,
So the board still runs the.
it's not. I don't even say the board. I would say the people that loaned him the money. Like
Right.
Saudi Arabia, who definitely has never had someone disassembled in their embassy. I'm sure they're not.
But I'm looking at the stock prices, and it looks like it's going up
For
17
which
hours
one?
ago
Tesla.
for Twitter.
Oh, Tesla's
Twitter.
the one that matters because like that's entirely his wealth.
Right.
It's dependent on
Yeah,
that.
right, of course.
So the Tesla stock, because it was like an overinflated, it made it the most valuable
Yes.
car company of all time that like recalls vast quantities of its cars. So it was probably not like destined for greatness.
It
But
seems
yeah,
to be on a little slow upswing here too. Maybe
yeah,
that's since. Let's take a look to see when that happened compared to when he said he was stepping down.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay, well, this is all really fun. So this is what's held my attention for the last little while,
yeah.
which I'm not sure is super interesting to anyone else. So for those of you who are watching, why don't you drop in the comments what you guys have been fascinated with in terms of marketing this year. Oh, and then the other thing is that so brands, a lot of the brands that are on there seem to be just tweeting away as usual. But has anyone stopped? I have stopped a couple of my accounts from tweeting on Twitter, but for the most part, I have a software client, and we still use Twitter because Twitter is still a really good space for them.
I could see it. I mean, none of our clients are, but they're not really. We're just so Google focused, and just and then we're also ours is just integrating, doing like YouTube Shorts and like TikToks and like any of the 60-second videos, and then posting the full length video on YouTube. Like that's kind of been what we've been focusing on, because all the other ones are so fickle that. As like a social media platform, that you're just not something where we're putting our efforts.
Yeah, so I mean, for my account, I've mostly used in the last while, though not just this year, but over the last few years, I've mostly used If This Then That and sent all of my Instagram tweets to Twitter.
Yeah, it's it definitely. I think the other one that's I'm very interested to see how it's going to shake out is because this is the first year since 2008 that they've raised interest rates, and no one because I think a lot of us kind of forget that like Facebook was born out of 2008. They were all the social media platforms were all born out of like a zero interest rate world, and because they could borrow infinitely to pay any debts when they don't make their money. So it'll be interesting to see which social media platforms actually can keep their value, able to grow in this time where things are getting more like hard. It's hard to say, right? The only company that's like a platform that I think is going to be fun is like Amazon. That's because Amazon doesn't make money on Amazon. Amazon makes all of its money from AWS. And that's I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. So it'll be interesting to see how the whole social media ecosystem is going to shift and change, because it was built on people buying, big companies buying huge ad spaces on all their platforms. But if they're too erratic, it's going to cost too much, they're borrowing too much. Like I think that's all going to make things interesting.
Totally.
Sorry,
Totally, that is true.
I didn't mean to get all like meta narrative. It's just been something I've been learning a lot about.
No,
recently.
that's absolutely true. I mean, I actually find it quite funny that when people go on about how the interest rates are so high, and I don't know, I remember in the 80s, I mean, I had my first bank account in the 80s.
That's a little different. Where they were, that was a very different time.
No, I understand, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go. It doesn't mean that it's going to go away, right? So we have to figure out what does that look like in life now, and what are the changes in consumer and investor behaviors that are going to come about? Because you're right, people have been borrowing like crazy, and it's been a whole thing to borrow and invest that money and to leverage your home to the maximum to maintain a particular lifestyle. So it's really going to shift.
Yeah, well, and also businesses as well, right? Like a lot of the major businesses are kind of kept afloat by the fact that they take in just enough money to service debt so that they can borrow more money to service that.
That's right.
And then it's just kind of like, if there's a slight tweak in that system, then who knows how it's all going to shake out. And I just don't think that. I think it's very interesting, but I don't have like an answer like, oh, obviously it's going to be this. I'm
not an economist either. It's just going to be, I think everybody is being a little bit more cautious at the moment, I think.
Even any economist who's also very full of themselves is like, they're lying to you. It's no one knows, like those, because those guys also, most of the economists are kind of like, well, obviously we're going to raise interest rates and that'll crash the economy so that we can deal with inflation. And inflation went down and the economy is doing better than it's ever done, like on pure numbers. Like the U.S. economy grew 2.5% in the last quarter when it was predicted to go minus. So like anyone who says that they know what's going on is lying to you because we are in wacky cuckoo times. And it's different times.
Want to know more about SEO? We've got a class for that. Our mission is to educate students about the right tools, techniques, and strategies to grow their businesses using the most up-to-date search engine marketing optimization techniques and tools. Find out more at knowhowmarketinglab.com.
We're quickly running up on our half hour. Are we going longer, or should we talk about the year upcoming at all?
Yeah, actually, I do have some something I wanted to mention for the year upcoming that wasn't just like weird meta narrative stuff, which is the continuation of the GPT systems and the AI content creation. It's definitely one. I think it'll be interesting to see how the race between Google and the Chat GPT. Have you guys played with it yet?
Mm-hmm. No.
It's fun to try and word the prompts in a specific way, like to try and get a result. Like I had it rewrite the story of Gilgamesh and put it in like modern times, and it rewrote the story so it was about a CEO taking over a business. And then so there's like just trying to get it to do weird things has been kind of fun. A lot of copy is pretty easy for it to get you started.
Yeah,
it seems it doesn't do random things. Like you can't just ask it to pick one or another. Like it won't pick. It doesn't randomly generate numbers. And I could see why, because like people might start using it to like for sports betting, like, or for like picking stocks possibly, or things like that. It's not going to make decisions for you, basically, but you can ask it to do things for you, like write you things like you were talking about, or stuff like that. So, and I don't know how far it's going to go. I know that I've heard things like 3.5 is really good. That's what we're at, but the next version is going to be like, far superior in its capabilities to what it has now. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that it's never, I don't think it's going to like fully replace things. I think it's just going to be, you have a blank page and you need something on there to get you started. I think that's always going to be where it's going to stay, because funny story about the ChatGPT-3 or the ChatGPT is that you were banned from using it on Stack Overflow. So it does write code, but the code doesn't work because it doesn't know, like you were saying, it doesn't know how to actually pick something. It's a predictive model based on a bunch of stuff. And it looks right, but if you actually go and actually work with it, like computers are, the code is deterministic, where this is probabilistic. So it's like code is like you give it a set of instructions, it will do those instructions. Whereas the GPT models are like, we guess based on how everyone else has done this, that this is kind of how it works. And it's like it's a predictive model.
Mm-hmm. And the image AI stuff, I've played around with that a little bit as well, and it's pretty cool. I don't think it's going to be replacing any designers anytime soon, but you could use it in a specific way to generate you just something abstract or interesting that is unique.
Well, I don't know how you. Okay, so there's actually an AI right now that someone shared with me in a Slack chat that designs entire websites. So I feel like there might be not replacement for designers, but another DIY option rather than just templates.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I would agree with you that it's like it's going to be like a starter template or something like that. The thing that the issue with it, of course, is that Google is like hyper aware of these systems and has like built like ways to downgrade, like if
you think they'll do that?
They already have with the GPT.
What are based on what premise? Why would they do that? Why would they choose to do that?
Oh, because it's not original content, right? So it's not.
I see.
And
but
so,
are templates original content? Like, honestly, at what point does originality happen?
Well, that's
this is the more interesting conversation to me. Not what can be done, but who owns what and where is the intellectual property lie? Like, because the AI developer owns all the property, doesn't it? Like, how does it not?
So the court case actually did just come down for that AI generated comic book.
Okay,
so
cool.
Someone did take it and use these systems to create an entirely AI generated comic book, and the court ruled that they were not allowed to put a copyright on it.
Because it's sourced out from everything else.
Yeah, it's just,
so then what is it? Creative Commons? Like, is that where's it land?
Yeah, I think it was Creative Commons is where they landed. I didn't get.
Oh, so we're not going to be. But okay, but here's the thing: can you not just create a book? Like I've heard of lots of people writing books with AI already, or stories at least. So if you created a book of short stories, for example, and then you created a print on demand on Amazon and sold that, and it was obviously done by AI, and I somehow knew that, could I not just go and download that book and then put it up and resell it myself because it's part of the Creative Commons?
Let me preface this with I'm not a lawyer. I'm not that good at copyright law.
I know.
But to me, what it would mean is that you'd be able to just take what they did, put it up there, and then you'd be selling it, and then they couldn't take it down because there's no way to enforce a DMCA.
Okay, and what percentage of differences to original artwork need to be organized by this AI for it not to be part of the first copyright holder? So, for example, if a gallery owns the Van Gogh Scream or whatever, and they own the rights to that, and every time it's published on a card or a calendar, they get money for that. So how much does that Scream have to actually change? Because in current law, it's 80%. So I have to make, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know that for a fact, but and I know that it's arbitrary in some ways because it depends on how you're changing it and how recognizable it originally is, even if it is 80%. But you have to make significant changes for it to be considered a new work. So have they legislated that kind of, like, how much change from the original art does the AI need to put into that piece before it's...
I believe that is part of the fun things that are coming up for the next year. Yeah, because I don't think that I personally I think that that's just an open question, and those goalposts are going to keep moving and keep shifting, and people are going to be. I just I don't know what's going to happen with it. Like a materialist reading is going to be like whoever owns the ability to make money off of that part is probably going to be pushing for those laws to favor them, right? So whoever's like making the money now, they've got the money to then get the lawyers to go like, no, I want it to be this way. And
so, just out of curiosity, do we have a link for that comic book that is done by AI, so I can just rip it off and put it on Amazon today?
I will have to find it and put it in the chat. I just found it in my when I was Googling.
My question about this would be, like, if you use AI to generate some copy or a story for you, or images as well, and you put it out there, if you didn't tell anybody it was created by AI, would anybody know, or how would anybody come out to you?
Google has an algorithm that they've created because there was like a big thing that people had created full affiliate marketing websites, and they just ran it as an experiment. Could I make an affiliate marketing website strictly with AI? And what would happen to Google? And in one of their last updates, they had released an algorithm that detects, basically it reverse engineers how a GPT algorithm works. So it undoes the predictive model. And it could detect, and apparently like it was very good because like sites are just, that are like showing their Google Analytics, and it was like traffic just like craters in this update. So apparently there's a way to do it.
I find it interesting. I think that definitely software could probably do that, no problem. And if you say that it exists, then that's great. But there was one guy on TikTok, I think, that I was watching, and he was discussing it as if, as a professor, he would know if his students had used AI to write a paper because he's already identified plagiarism in the past. And it's different than plagiarism. I think the guy's misunderstanding what AI does, because it's not plagiarism. It's not the same.
No.
Right? And so, and I just thought, oh, that's an interesting take, to think that you're actually going to be able to identify the AI written stuff. Like, I don't think it's going to be that easy, Mr. Professor. Do you know?
I think that it's more going to be like there's like a certain uncanny valley feel to a couple of things when it does right, that it's just like there's like it gets 90% of it there, but that last 10% just is like, wait, it doesn't make sense to put that word there.
Like, I see how it works better. You can kind of look at images that are AI, and you can see that there's qualities about those images that is different, right? Yeah, and there's some places where they fail even a little bit. Like I've heard hands are hard for all sorts of new artists too, quite frankly. But they say in the hands and it's just, they sort of fall apart a little bit at different places, and that's fine. But in writing, I want to see, like, maybe it's just because I'm not really, like, I haven't dedicated my life to reading books the same way that authors or literature teachers have, I would imagine. Maybe they could actually feel that sort of uncanniness that I look at when I look at AI, and I can see, oh, that's a little off, it's a little weird, it's a little strange. But there are entire art genres that are intended to be a little off, a little weird, a little strange. Like, they're not intended to be realistic. So, like, I can actually think of some really good pieces of artwork that stand alone and have for centuries, and they're not realistic. They're weird.
Yeah, but I think that there's a couple of factors when it comes to the writing that, like, you've got to separate out like marketing copy from like literature or some piece of nonfiction versus a piece of fiction. I think that the models do better with nonfiction and marketing copy because it is fairly standardized, like how you're trying to convince someone of something. And I think that part is going to have some tells in the way that it puts words together. That's what I suspect that Google is going to catch. Any sort of fiction, it's more, or any sort of like prose where you're trying to like come up with a story. That those ones they're okay, but that's where the uncanny valley really happens, is any sort of like prose where they're telling a story, because they'll have like and then they went to the bowling alley, and like they'll have like some weird like thing that just like it's so incongruous, and it's because it's predictive, like that it's just sort of trying to assume these things. It's going to be a weird world. It's definitely, so one other thing that's come out of that is there's now a new type of job, which is like a prompt writer. It's literally a guy's job, like on Fiverr, to know how to prompt these systems to generate what you need
I
it
think
to
that's
do.
so fun. I want that job. Put myself up on Fiverr for that.
Yeah. There's well, there's one like one of the podcasts I listened to. They did like a whole intro. I'll send you a link to it, Rina. Them doing the intro, and it was entirely written by ChatGPT. And then he's like, I don't want to like, because it was a little like they were critical of it, and so they were just like, yeah, I don't want to really tell you guys how to like write an episode, an intro to this podcast using ChatGPT, because like that isn't going to be fun for you.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely. I think the AI content creation is going to be the big thing next year.
Absolutely, I think that's going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
And then way more experiential marketing. I think that's on our Google, whatever those are called. I don't have one. What's it called?
The Home?
The little speaker things. Yeah, Google Home and all of that. We'll be making lists and doing shopping from there.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I expect that. The other thing is like the Google local SEO. There's made some huge jumps in like how you can leave reviews. Like I just saw yesterday that you can leave a review for a restaurant and then leave it for subcategories of like food quality, service, experience there. So I think that, and then they're also doing the posts and like you can see things that are happening nearby you. So I think that Google is going to be expanding that out a little bit more. So that should be interesting for people. It'll be. I think it's also going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with Meta because they are losing a lot of money. It's going to be around for a while, but like they've taken a big hit in the last year, and it'll be interesting to see where they're going to land out of all this.
Yeah, I want to know when they're going to be launching their metaverse stuff. Like, I really want to see more of that.
They have.
Oh, but how do you get in it then?
Oh, exactly.
They haven't rolled it out to us. Is that what you mean?
No. It's been underused. It was a big boom that just didn't work. Like the technical component for like configuring it just wasn't up to snuff. It was a lot of marketing that didn't have a lot of technical stuff to back it up.
I remember the marketing and all of that, but where is it? Where did we go?
It's all decentralized, right? Like it's all, you have your own little world, and then it has its own cryptocurrency that uses to fuel it, and it also got tied in with the NFT market, and so it was kind of also. I hope you don't like having legs. They haven't been able to figure out legs.
I definitely like the legs. Honestly, positive reinforcement goes a long way for me.
There's been. I mean, there's just been a lot of issues with it getting set up. I keep fairly close tabs on all that stuff. Oh, the other one that is interesting with the marketing a little bit is that Netflix has reoriented itself to basically be TV. And
yeah,
it's like,
I know. I'm so disappointed. It's like I canceled my account.
Well, that's again going back to the zero interest rate world. They were entirely dependent on borrowing vast sums of money, which is why. VC, they were a junk stock. They've never not been a junk stock.
I think a lot of VC-backed companies operate like that. They just live so much on the money that's coming in and not on the money that's generated through revenue of the thing that's actually being sold. So yeah, and I mean that's the too bad part of it is that they organized it to be cheaper than TV. They disrupted the television service, and then they turned it into TV. It's like, oh, that was really innovative. Totally innovative.
Oh, it's the same, between it and Uber. Uber also has an ads platform now because now they have a little screen in the back of the car that makes it look exactly like a taxi, except it's just some random guy's car. And it's the same story, is that there were fundamental economic things that made these models this way. They thought that with infinite free money, they could change that, and it turned out that they couldn't. There was a reason why things were the way they were.
No, because the model is...
the model depended on free money, like infinite free money.
Yeah, I forgot what the word is that I want to use, though. The model is... I forgot.
Has anyone tried the Disney service?
No, it's all the same. They all start out the same.
Yeah, but
Disney has advertising? Because Disney's killing it right now, but Disney streaming services.
Disney makes infinite money. They make infinite money. But it's because they're pulling it from everywhere. The Marvel movies, the Star Wars stuff, like they have all the merchandising that goes with that. Like they actually are a model. Like the two companies that are absolutely killing it right now is Disney and Amazon. And it's because they have a thing that makes them a ton of money so that they can go and buy everything else and then just like corner the market. And so those two companies have like a huge cash cow that they can just use to buy up their competitors in other markets or enter themselves into new markets. Yeah, I think like, everything from our childhood is all pretty much owned by Disney right now. Like there's very few that isn't owned by them. And that also helps them with the Disney Plus is that they have like the rights to all Marvel, Lucasfilms, what's the other one I'm thinking of? Pixar, 20th Century Fox, like they own all that. So Simpsons is like hanging out with Mickey. I'll refrain from doing my Mickey voice. And so, yeah, it's definitely, it's a weird world where things are, I think, separating out, but also kind of consolidating in weird ways. It's kind of it'll be interesting to see how all that shakes out. I think that, yeah, it's definitely a time of change. It's definitely feels like there's big changes going on. Oh, I had a question for you guys since I have. Do you guys get the YouTube ads for about Bill C-11? Okay, yeah, because I had to look it up because like YouTube was like, yeah, you should really not want to have this bill passed, and I'm instantly like, okay, why are you spending ad revenue to like telling me that I should be opposing this? So it's interesting. It's a CRTC law of like Canadian content that the YouTube algorithm has to display a certain amount of it, and so obviously Google doesn't like that because they want to show you what they want to show you. But it's interesting that this is coming out as well. That, like, I think that's also going to be a big one, is seeing how governments are interacting, because like we've seen, it's like the California and the EU like enact certain privacy laws that they've had to make certain like all these new systems in place, and so it's been interesting to see how that gets implemented as well.
All right. Well, I actually have to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking we were going to be going quite this long today, but at the same time, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it was fun. It was freewheeling. I hope I didn't distract everyone with like weird meta narratives about stuff, but
and we missed Pip on the live.
No kidding.
Yeah, this is what
last one of the year too.
Yeah, well, this is and that's why I get to talk about all the stuff. It's,
Pip's not here reeling us all in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I guess we will see you guys in the year. Oh, I will be posting that form for anyone that has suggestions. I haven't got to it yet. I forgot since the last time. But I'll post a Google form that if anyone has any topic suggestions they want us to cover. Yeah, I guess.
Sounds good. So it's a great year, everyone. And I'm really looking forward to next year. I hope that you'll stick with us and help us grow and organize each other for when we need help and when we have questions. We are in the Cyberpunk Marketing Mixer Facebook group. If you're watching us elsewhere, that's where you can find us on the daily. And have a great holiday. And we'll see you first week of January, right? That would be January 5th, I think, right?
Yes.
All right.
Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
The conversation never stops in our Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks. Join us at facebook.com/groups/Cyberpunk Geeks to ask your questions, meet new friends, and learn even more about search, social, and websites.